Oh, this is Spellbinder with this news article from Canada Free Press. Because without America, there is no free world. This is a Monday, September the 6th, 2010 article by Alan Karuba. It said in the week when Jews will celebrate the new year 5771, the connection between the Nazis' rebellion against the Judeo-Christian worldview and the present-day ideology that drives the environmental movement needs to be exposed. Anti-Semitism is on the rise in Europe and elsewhere around the world, driven in part by the Islamic hatred of Jews, but also reflected in the liberal antipathy to corporations and financial community, often portrayed as Jewish bankers. As history favored scapegoats for economic problems, the situation mirrors Germany in the 1930s. Few know the connection, but it is spelled out in Nazi Oaks by R. Mark Musser for $12.75 Advantage Book softcover. You can get it at Amazon.com. Thanks to his research, we learned that a highway to modern environmentalism passed through Nazi Germany by 1935. The Third Reich was the greenest regime on the planet. It is no coincidence that sweeping Nazi environmental legislation preceded the radically charged anti-Semitic Nuremberg laws. In the decades during which I have seen the rise of the environmental movement in America, I have also seen its inherent totalitarian drive to not merely alter society, but to completely control the lives of all Americans. It is fundamentally an attack on the American credo and individual freedom, and it has become commonplace to suggest that environmentalism has become a pseudo-religion. Mark Musser is a 1989 graduate from the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, widely regarded as one of the premier environmental institutions in the nation. In 1994, he received a Master of Divinity from the Western Seminary in Portland, and for 7 years was a missionary in Belarus and Ukraine. He is currently a pastor. The history spelled out in Musser's book needs to be understood in terms of what is occurring in America today. The title of the book comes from the fact that, with the oak trees being such a powerful symbol of German nationalism in the German natural landscape, Hitler had oaks planted all over the Reich in hundreds of towns and villages. The practice was dubbed by Nazi environmentalists as a concordant with the spirit of the Führer. Return to nature myth. Just as America is passing through a period of economic stress, the Nazis in the 1930s sought to tap into the German psyche in a return to nature. Myth was seen as a unifying measure. The same regime that would later create the means to systematically kill Europe's Jews shared a lot in common with any number of present-day environmentalist leaders and academics. Peter Singer, a professor of bioethics at Princeton University, is on record saying Christianity is our foe. If animal rights is to succeed, we must destroy the Judeo-Christian religious tradition. Very antichrist of him. Maurice Strong, Secretary General of the United Nations Environmental Program, said, "Isn't the only hope for the planet that the industrialized civilizations collapse? Isn't it our duty to bring that about? When you contemplate the many measures taken by the U.S. government against the mining of coal, the drilling for oil, and even the shutdown of a nuclear waste repository, is it not obvious that denying America the energy it requires is one way to destroy its economy?" Very nice person Mr. Strong is, isn't he? In one chilling way in particular, the hatred of the human race does the environmental movement reflects the Nazis' merciless destruction not only of Jews but of millions of others consigned to its concentration camps and relentless killing wherever they sought conquest. This is why Club of Rome could say the earth has a cancer and the cancer is man. How does this differ from Hitler's many expressions of hatred for Jews and other Africans and Asians that he deemed to be subhuman? This is the naked face of environmentalism. Remember, too, this did not happen a long time ago. The greatest generation, some of whom still live, fought the Nazi regime a scant 70 years ago. President Václav Klaus of Czech Republic warns that it should be clear by now to everyone that environmental activism is becoming a general ideology about humans, about their freedom, about the relationship between the individual and the state, and about the manipulation of people under the guise of a noble idea. Couple that with a torrent of falsified science, and you have the modern environmental movement, or I'd call the environmental religion, Antichrist religion at that. The single greatest threat to freedom in America is the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. The single greatest threat to freedom in America is the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's current effort to acquire the authority to regulate a gas that is responsible, among with oxygen, for all life on Earth, carbon dioxide, CO2. If the EPA gets that control, it will be able to determine every aspect of life in America, because it is the use of electricity, industrial, and all other machine-based technology that generates carbon dioxide. And it is the big lie that CO2 is causing global warming that is being used to justify the agency's quest. There is no global warming. The Earth is in a natural cooling cycle. The Nazi regime was made up of animal rights activists, environmentalists, and vegetarians, of which Hitler was all three. And it led ultimately to mass murder. So ultimately we are going into mass murder if we continue to believe the lie and disinformation being told to us by the Al Gore groups. It's the Nazi dream to kill all humans. It's called eugenicist. Problem is, eugenics came from America, and Hitler, when he heard and understood eugenics, he embraced it for himself. And that was one reason he really wouldn't have won if he hadn't had the U.S. doing it before. I mean, like I said, you can look up these black and white films of the 40s where they were taking people and sterilizing them. And there were documentary things telling how great it is to be sterilized and not have children. I mean, it's an evil thing, these environmentalists. They hate humans. They hate us. They hate themselves worse than they hate us, or they wouldn't be wanting to kill us. I mean, their life must be so miserable and so evilly so that they want us dead because they hate themselves so much. To me, the environmentalist and eugenicist people are just haters of their own souls, of God, of life itself. Well, until next time, this is a good little story to look at. I'll have a link to this, and you can read this for yourself and check out. Maybe you can find a copy of Nazi Oaks by Mark Musser somewhere on the internet, or you can actually read it, or you can get a copy of it at Amazon.com and find out what's really going on with global environmental change. Yep. Until next time, this is Spellbinder. Be good, or be good at it. And have a very good day. And believe in life and love one another, as we all should. And don't be Antichrist.